Adolf Hitler. Hitler was born in Braunau, Austria on April 20, 1889, the son of a German customs clerk and an Austrian peasant woman. An indifferent, sullen student, he dropped out of high school to work as an aspiring artist but failed to gain entrance into the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. By the onset of World War I, Hitler had moved to Germany and enlisted in the German army. For 4 years, Hitler functioned in the dangerous role as a messenger on the Western Front, receiving 3 decorations for bravery. At the time of the armistice, Hitler was in the hospital recovering from a gas attack. Hitler later used his wartime experiences during World War I as an argument that he was just an ordinary soldier, and as a rallying cry to embrace a sense of unity and a willingness to fight for a nation. The German surrender that ended World War I in November 1918 led to the 1919 Treaty of Versailles, which imposed severe economic penalties, such as reparations, or payments for war damages. These penalties caused much hardship for the German people, increasing their resentment toward the democratic German government for signing such an agreement. Under the Versailles Treaty, Germany had to surrender the provinces of Alsace and Lorraine to France, as well as other territories to Denmark and Poland. The War Guilt Amendment also came from this treaty, essentially holding Germany and its allies responsible for the loss and damage suffered by the Allied governments and their citizens as a result of war imposed by German aggression. Like many unemployed former soldiers, Hitler joined the German Workers' Party, which he later expanded into the National Socialist German Workers' Party, better known as the Nazis. Hitler, a master of political intrigue and oratory prowess, seized the national political agenda through his fiery speeches. 1. However, when his attempted coup against the Bavarian government, later known as the Beer Hall Putsch, was crushed by the police on November 8 to 9, 1923, Hitler was sentenced to 5 years in Landsberg prison. He only served 9 months before a general amnesty was proclaimed. He used the time he served in prison to outline his political philosophy in the book Mein Kampf, My Struggle. In it, he openly flaunted his anti-Semitism, as well as Germany's dire necessity for territorial expansion in the East in order to establish the Third Reich, which would be Germany's third great empire. The book was never taken seriously by critics, however, and its warning signs of anti-Semitic plans went unheeded. Hitler's time in prison was also important, as this is when he shaped his plans for how he would later use labor and concentration camps. Imprisonment garnered Hitler political respectability, and he resolved to overthrow the established Weimar Republic by working within the democratic system, not against it. His great eloquence and nationalist fervor, as well as the country's general economic unrest, led to increasing Nazi representation at all levels of government through elections held during the 1920s. Hitler's goals received a tremendous boost during the global depression of 1929 as more and more Germans turned to him for leadership in this national economic crisis. He was able to tell the German people what they yearned to hear. By 1932, the Nazis achieved political control of the government when they became the second largest political party in the Reichstag behind the Social Democrats, SPD. Hitler's promises of jobs, security, and a resurrected Germany continued to resonate with the electorate, and in 1933, he came to power by being appointed Chancellor by President Paul von Hindenburg. When Hindenburg died the following year, Hitler combined the offices of Chancellor and President to become the uncontested leader, Der Führer, of the German nation. One image source, https, collections, ushmm, orgserchctlogirn 3762. Once in power, Hitler ruthlessly suppressed civil rights, imprisoned political opponents in some of the first labor camps in Germany, and began to reinvigorate the German economy. He accomplished an economic revival for the country by expanding the military-industrial sector in direct violation of the Versailles Treaty. He took a special interest in developing fast tanks and airplanes that would eventually form the basis for the extremely mobile blitzkrieg warfare of World War II. 2. Party. Votes. %. Seats. National Socialist German Workers' Party. 11,737,021. 33.09. 196. Social Democratic Party of Germany. 7,247,901. 20.43. 121. Communist Party of Germany. 5,980,239. 16.86. 100. Center Party. 4,230,545. 11.93. 70. German National People's Party. 2,959,053. 8.34. 51. As Germany grew stronger militarily, Hitler grew bolder on the international stage. He also routinely disregarded sound military advice from his senior generals, whose perceived timidity he regarded with open contempt. In 1936, he marched troops into the Rhineland, restoring it to Germany, and forming an alliance with Benito Mussolini's fascist Italy. 2 years later, Hitler annexed Austria to Germany. At the Munich Conference of September 1938, Hitler convinced Britain and France to allow him to annex the Sudetenland, an area of western Czechoslovakia containing mostly ethnic Germans. Hitler, however, decided after the conference to annex all of Czechoslovakia, embarrassing Britain and France and making all of Europe increasingly wary of his expansionist ambitions. He then stunned the world by signing a non-aggression pact with Soviet Union leader Joseph Stalin, which ensured the stability of Germany's vulnerable eastern border. The lack of decisive leadership and resistance to his plans evidenced by the Western democracies did little to discourage Hitler, who by the end of the 1930s was finally ready to gain new territories by force. 2 Image source, https